Forensic Science Lecture 10-1, Understanding DNA. Understanding DNA. Portions of DNA structures are actually as unique to each individual as are their fingerprints. The process of isolating and reading DNA markers was first known as DNA fingerprinting, but with new technology and the fact that it is so precise now, it's now referred to as DNA profiling and DNA typing. DNA typing allows forensic scientists to individualize biologic evidence, and it's actually become routine in crime labs. So what is DNA? DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acids, and these are the structures that contain our genes. Genes are the fundamental units of heredity, and each is designed specifically to carry out a task of making a protein. All of these proteins that they carry the instructions for determine everything from our hair color to our susceptibility for diseases. The structure of DNA, we know that it's a large molecule made up of smaller units, or a polymer made up of a monomer. The monomer for DNA is a nucleotide, which is composed of three parts: the sugar, the phosphate, and the nitrogen base. Nucleotides are strung together by the sugars and the phosphates, and that forms the backbone of the structure, and the nitrogen bases project out of that backbone to form what we refer to as the rungs of the ladder. There are only 4 bases that are associated with DNA: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. Based on each strand, the bases, of each strand are aligned to form a double helix. The 2 strands of DNA are coiled around each other to form this structure. In order for this to actually work and the whole structure to be one width all the way across, there's only one way bases can properly align. Adenine always pairs with thymine, and guanine always pairs with cytosine. This is known as the complementary base pairing rule, or the base pairing rule. Anything other than this can cause problems within the DNA structure. So how does DNA work? Basically, DNA is like a book of instructions using a simple alphabet, that alphabet being A, T, C, G, or adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. In order for, the order that these letters are in is what creates the words, or it's what defines the role and the function. Each of these genes directs the production of a specific protein, which is a long chain of amino acids. It's the sequence that determines the shape and the structure of that protein, and the function of that protein, and what gives that protein its role within the body. Each strand of DNA of the double helix has the same information. So although they are complementary to one another, the information is the same. So it's like a photograph and it's negative. So if you look at the diagram or the picture that's on this slide, you have 2 DNA models. They're the same DNA model, just reverse of one another, but the information they contain is the same. All proteins are derived from 20 known amino acids, and that's in most living things. Each group of 3 nucleotides codes for a specific amino acid, and that's referred to as its codon. If one nucleotide is changed in the codon, the wrong amino acid could be placed in the amino acid chain, and the protein may not function correctly or may not function at all. An example of that is our hemoglobin gene. Our hemoglobin is the protein carried in red blood cells that help to carry oxygen throughout the body to the cells. In a normal sequence, the 3 of the codons are CCT, GAG, and GAG, which produce an amino acid sequence of proline, glutamate, and glutamate. But if we just change the first A in that sequence to a T, so now it reads CCT, GTG, and GAG. We now have proline, valine, and glutamine. This now creates sickle cell anemia. And so the protein no longer carries the oxygen in the red blood cells like it's supposed to. And so, in other words, that protein no longer functions to carry out the function, which is to carry a sufficient amount of oxygen to the body cells. So this process has to be exact in its process, and the process in which the DNA is copied or made is called replication. DNA has to replicate itself before cell division can occur, and this helps to make sure that all of the cells in the body have the same DNA. So DNA replication is basically the synthesis of a new DNA molecule from an existing one. It begins when the DNA strands are unwound and unzipped, exposing those nitrogen bases. And free nucleotides are added letter by letter according to the base pairing rules to result in two identical DNA strands. There are a number of proteins that actually play big roles in DNA replication. One of the main ones is DNA polymerase, and this is the one that actually assembles the new DNA strand in the proper sequence by adding those complementary bases, but it also proofreads the growing strand to ensure its accuracy, that there are no mistakes that can cause for a failure in that protein. The reason why this is important is because we have, or forensic scientists have, perfected technology of using DNA polymerase in order to copy strands of DNA outside of the cell. This is known as polymerase chain reaction, or PCR. And what it does is it uses DNA polymerase to take a small quantity of DNA or even broken pieces of DNA found at a crime scene and copy it. So it's basically amplifying that specimen, that sample that we are getting. And this is accomplished by an instrument known as the DNA thermal cycler. And what this does is it automates the rapid and precise temperature changes required for DNA to be copied. But what it allows is that in a few hours, it can go through 30 cycles, which can copy the DNA in that sample a billion-fold. And so the ability to multiply small amounts of DNA opens new avenues for forensic scientists of what they can do, what they can test for, what they can look for. And so sample sizes are no longer a limitation in recovering DNA from a crime scene. This ends lecture 10-1. There is a quiz next class.